Welcome to the course on hand washing, hand sanitizing, and toilet facilities. This course is really important because we know how important hand washing is. When I think about hand washing, it always reminds me of the story of Typhoid Mary. If you're not familiar with Mary's story, I'm going to give you a quick little rundown. Mary was an Irish born immigrant here in the United States who worked for really affluent families in New York City in the very late 1800s, super early 1900s. Uh, Mary was a great cook. She had a peach ice cream recipe that everybody especially loved. She would make fresh ice cream and then cut up peaches to put on top of there. And everybody just loved this recipe. Well, after a while, people started coming down with typhoid. And this was a pretty big deal for those affluent families that I mentioned that Mary was working for because in those days, really well to do families, they didn't get typhoid. It was seen as like a poor man's sickness. And so some of these well off families actually hired a health inspector. The health inspector started taking a look around, looking at things, and they said, hey, one of the very common elements here is your cook. Maybe we should take a look at her a little bit. Now, Mary, she was a pretty feisty lady from what I read. She was adamant that it wasn't her that was spreading these illnesses. There was just absolutely no way. She was very healthy. She was even cited as saying that she didn't wash her hands very often because she didn't see the need. And she was an expert at this. You can imagine where this story is going. Needless to say, they come to find out it was Mary that was spreading typhoid. Mary was known as what's called an asymptomatic carrier. So she had gotten typhoid probably as a young child, and it lived in her body for years, unbeknownst to her. She had no symptoms. And every time that Mary would go to the restroom and not wash her hands and would go and make that signature peach dish that I mentioned, she was serving with a little side of typhoid every single time. And so a lot of people got sick with typhoid, and she's actually been linked to about 50 or so people, but a lot of people think that it's a lot more. So hand washing is crucial. Without proper hand washing and hand sanitizing and toilet facilities, your facility can spread harmful bacteria and make people seriously ill. In this course, like all the other ones in this 8P bundle, we're going to go through why it's important, a little bit of background, what your role is in it, some corrective actions, and then a quiz at the end. Let's jump right in.